Hello, everyone. My name is Rajnesh Avtar, and this is the American Buddhist Study Center's podcast show. If you are interested in learning about Buddhist wisdom and Japanese culture, then this is the place to be. Today, I'm very excited to have our guest, Reverend Kurt Rai. He's a resident minister of the New York Buddhist Church, located in the same building where we have our ABSC Center at 331 Riverside, Manhattan, New York. Reverend Rai has been a member of the Jodo Shinshu Sangha for over 35 years. Good morning and welcome, Reverend Rai.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to get this opportunity to talk to you today. So maybe you can start with telling our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I was raised in Washington, D.C. area, and I was raised as a Christian. And then when I hit when I was in my 20s, I decided to look into other spiritualities. And I looked into Hinduism, Islam. I looked into different forms, trying to find something that matched up for me for both intellectually and for the heart. And I had the great experience of living in Japan for 5 years. And then that was when I was exposed to the Dharma or the Buddhist teachings in a very personal way. And so I studied at Taisho Daigaku, which is a university for Tendai Buddhism in Japan. And I took study classes. And when I returned to the United States, I literally stumbled into a Jodo Shinshu temple in Seattle, Washington. And that's the path that started me being part of that Sangha or that community for 35 years.
Wow, that is interesting. And in Japan, you said you lived in Tokyo, right?
I lived in Tokyo and Kamakura. Very fortunate.
So is it more like a full circle for you, living in Tokyo and not living in New York?
Yes. Except for most people speaking English, which is nice.
So how did you get associated with the ABSC, the American Buddhist Study Center?
Sure. So I've been in the ministry for about 15 years. And one of my first assignments was at the Ekoji Temple, which is in Virginia.
Yeah.
And so the way our organization is divided, we are the Eastern District.
Mm-hmm.
So I interfaced with the New York Buddhist Church. And then I would come up and I would do workshops, and then I would interface with Koshina on different projects. And that's how I got introduced.
That's wonderful, Reverend Rai. And you'd also mentioned earlier, Reverend Rai, during our discussion that as part of the Buddhist Church of America, right, there's a lot of stuff that's happening between Japanese culture, Buddhism. So can you share a little bit of light on that?
Sure, I sure would. So this year, we're celebrating 125 years of being in the United States. They had missionaries sent over at the end of 1899. And so we're the oldest and largest denomination of Buddhism in the United States. At this point, we are balancing because our major membership still on the West Coast is Japanese American, now fourth generation and fifth generation. But when you look at my congregation of the Sangha here in New York, it's very diverse. And so the question comes up, how important is it to understand Japanese culture, to understand Jodo Shinshu or Buddhism?
Mm-hmm.
So in our Ministers Association, we talk about, should we chant in English? Should we chant in Japanese?
Right.
Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
Most of the texts now, if you had gone to our service here 50 years ago, it would have been, almost everything would have been done in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know, I'm an American, I'm not Japanese American, and my Japanese is limited. So it's a very interesting debate, because what is the Dharma, what is relevant, what is that needs to be Japanese that still gives it the essence of maybe of a different taste or different flavor of the Dharma?
Right.
It's an interesting question that I don't know if we're going to find a complete answer for.
And interesting today, Reverend Rai, we are on a day where there's a special event happening in New York,
Yes.
right? We have a Japan parade.
Yes.
So I hope you're participating
I
in
sure am. I'm looking forward to it, yes.
it. Is this your first time in the Japan parade?
Yes, it is, and I'm looking forward to it because I have members from my congregation or my Sangha that are going to be there in different capacities.
Right.
And one of the surprises for living in New York, which I didn't anticipate, is the large influence of Japanese nationals and Japanese culture within our community. So it's not uncommon for us to have people come to the temple like they would in Japan, knock on the door and say, "Can you please help me?" Which is something we normally don't have. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how my Sangha interfaces with the rest of the Japanese or Japanese American community.
And Reverend Rai, one final question. You know, we all, when we think about a reverend, right? We always have an image, right?
Yes.
Of a person who's very calm, composed, collected. And you look like one. Right? It's really wonderful to see you in that manner. So what makes you happy in life?
What makes me happy in life is I really enjoy meeting and interacting with people, especially people that share the Dharma, not that they have to be Buddhist, but you're sharing ideas that are larger than our everyday world. We're talking about really life-meaning things and getting to talk about what is really important. So it makes me happy to be with my Sangha, the larger community, and I enjoy doing outreach to other communities spiritually. So that makes me very happy.
Oh, that is wonderful, Reverend Rai. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and I definitely look forward to more interactions with you.
Okay, thank you so very much for having me.
Thank you.